My name is Cameron, and this is my story. I remember the environment, I remember the circumstance, I remember the people that were around me when I accepted Christ when I was 5 years old. I grew up in a wonderful Christian home, attended church on a regular basis. I went to a Christian middle school and a Christian high school. I learned all of the rules and all of the ways that I should be living. I then went away to college, and I was probably unprepared for the world in which I was entering, where I was able to make my own choices, yet have to live out those consequences. After going to college for several years, I ended up getting into physician assistant school. I ended up marrying a wonderful Christian woman, moving from Ohio to North Carolina, and opening a business. All the meanwhile, me and my wife understood what we were supposed to be doing, which I refer to as the checkbox religion. We continued to come to church and serve and give, yet I had not yet understood what Paul meant when he said he was living with joy and peace and contentment. So as my wife and I had understood the scriptures, I myself didn't fully grasp what it meant to have that and have a relationship. So as I began to dig a little deeper, and through joining a small group and even studying scriptures that I've been studying my whole life, I came across Matthew 7 and read it in a different way than I had before. There's all these people standing in front of Jesus, and they're saying to him that they have done all of these wonderful things. They've checked all the boxes, and whether that was for selfish ambition or vain conceit, or whether that was just for their own satisfaction, he replied to them by saying, "Only those that do the will of my Father." And then he followed that up with, "Depart from me, I never knew you." And that really sank deep, as I had been checking all these boxes all of my life on the things that I was supposed to be doing, that I was told to do. And when I do all those things, it would lead to the satisfaction, the joy, and the peace, and the contentment Paul was talking about. So I continued on the quest to find out and search out what it really meant to have a relationship with Jesus. Meanwhile, I had started and built a very successful company, and my identity was wrapped up in what I was creating, in what I could produce, and what I could give back. And Jesus began to change some of my circumstances, and he really began to work on me on how I engage with him on a daily basis, how I allow the Holy Spirit to communicate with me on a daily, situational basis, and how well I respond back to him. A lot of that growth, a lot of that context came through learning in a life group that me and my wife were in, where we would just study the scriptures together and we would ask difficult questions. But also because I was a business owner, because most of my life was wrapped up in my business, I also joined a business small group. And in the context of what it looked like to have a relationship with Jesus, not just the actions of what I was doing, but the true relationship. And that's changed my life. And that's my story.